Hey guys, Dewey here and welcome to a Pokemon Sword and Shield discussion video. So Gen 8 was revealed yesterday, which was amazing, and with it we got a brand new region. So today I want to dive in and do an insane map analysis. I've got a ton of notes here because I've been looking over this video in slow motion to find as much detail, as much information, and I'm going to put my thoughts and theories into this video as well. So feel free to comment below if you guys find anything that I happen to miss or if you think anything else. And let's dive in and see what we can find in the Galar region. Okay, so this region is clearly set in the UK. We already know that, that's everywhere. But one thing the first thing I did was, I wondered if Galar meant anything in like the UK or over here or anything. And when I typed it in, the first thing that came up was a Welsh word. And obviously, I don't speak Welsh. So I had it translated, and when I translated it on this website, it came up saying, Galar in Welsh means, there's three different meanings. I'm guessing it depends on how you use it in a sentence in Welsh. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong. Correct me if you are Welsh, and I have no idea what I'm going on about here. But it said Galar in Welsh means sorrow, mourning, or grief, which is a pretty depressing name to give to a region full of colourful creatures and stuff. I've been trying to think of any background or anywhere this can fit in. The only thing that I think is a really cool thing that I found out, or that I instantly thought of, was over here there's a nursery rhyme to do with magpies. And if you see one magpie, we usually say one for sorrow. And so sorrow, Galar, magpie. So I think there's going to be a magpie Pokemon in Generation 8. They're very common over here, so I feel like that. And if you go back and watch the trailer reaction, they're very careful to not show you any flying type Pokemon. In the sky, you see shadows of Pokemon, kind of like the ones in Oras where they're like flying around and stuff. So they show that probably to make sure that you don't see any Gen 8 Pokemon just yet. So as we can see on this map here, it's cut up into sections. There's lots of different environments and stuff. We have the snow area at the top, all icy and stuff. There's a giant poison forest, and there's like rocky bits and massive countrysides and stuff. So what does this mean? This means that we're going to get so many different typings in this massive region. So I don't know what Gen 8's bringing, but they will be able to put their types and do Pokemon all over this region. So any ice, water types you'll probably find up in the snowy area. You got rock, ground and stuff. Steel probably around the big cities and stuff. You got all the common stuff going around the countryside. So they've really set this up to make sure that you will find different types of Pokemon everywhere, which is going to be pretty cool. Now you'll notice you've got the main part of the region, but there are the tiny little islands around. Now I don't know if that's just kind of designed to put more emphasis on like the region, say this is how big it is compared to these tiny islands around, or are these little islands going to be like the ones we saw in Oras, where you can use the Eon Flute with Latios and Latias and fly to them? And there's, when we found legendaries there, are there going to be like hidden Pokemon there? Is that where endgame you get national decks? I have no idea. I'm just trying to think of how it connects to all the Pokemon games. And then finally, before we dive into the actual region and look at every little landmark and every little thing I can see, just going off here, you can see there's a massive rail track that goes all the way around. So everywhere there's like a train station. You see it in the trailers. It's always traveling. I think there's going to be fast travel in this game. Yeah, flying's a good way of fast traveling. But if you want to get to a certain city, trains have always been a huge thing in Pokemon. You always travel through stations, so it'd be really cool if there's a new way to travel in this region, and that's by the train, the metro, whatever it's called. So yeah, let's dive into the actual region here and see what we can find. Okay, so this is the very first shot that we see right at the bottom of the map. So I'm guessing this is Route 1. Right one, however you want to say it. This is where we start our journey. I'm guessing this is our house. Can you see? Yeah, you can see my cursor on the screen. Cool. I'm guessing this is like our house, the little cottage that we start in. Maybe the Pokemon lab. No, there's one thing that I've seen. I'm going to point them out as we go along. I don't know how hard it is. I'm going to try and zoom in. You can also see it very clearly on the trailer. I'm also going to do a trailer analysis to point out a lot of stuff that I found. But right here, where my cursor's over, it's like a little mini stadium. So we saw one of these back in Alola at the training school where you fight, I think he's called Joseph. I always remember because he's got the same name as me. And there's like a little battle stadium outside. I've noticed at least 3 or 4 of these things around the map. There's also one up here near this purple house, and this purple house looks like it's going to be very important. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, there's these little battle stadiums around, so that's got me thinking, are these going to be places we can go train? Are there going to be trainers that come across to battle there? Or is this where we go for online battles? They might want to implement that into the overworld, and then you click that and it brings you into the online lobby, or I don't know, something like that. It's weird that there are certain bits of the region, so I could see that happening. As you can see, we start off with all the little villages, we go into the countryside, and then we head off into the big towns and cities, which is really cool. So it's like you're actually going on an actual journey for the UK, which is what I really like. Now, coming back to this big purple house, as you can see on the corner here, it's kind of like a mini garden. So when you see it in the trailer, it's like a greenhouse coming out, and there's loads of berries. So I think it might be a berry garden. There might be a place for us to travel to where we can plant berries and come back at some point. 'Cause it's in the countryside. It's all about growing and stuff and fresh. So I think we'll be able to come back and get berries, because later on in the trailer, in the big town, there's also a poster that shows berries. So I think there's going to be something where we can plant berries, sell berries. That's our way of getting money. Just a little fun thing that they've put in the game. Now, I think on this map, every building they show has some kind of significance, because there's a lot of little houses in the trailer that you don't see on the map, apart from these big houses, or even little houses like this. There must be some significance. Maybe it's a trainer school, maybe it's an important NPC house that you go to. So you'll see a lot of these, and they're all kind of shaped like cottages or little palaces and stuff like that. It's really cute. So as you head up, we start going into the countryside here. I've got this playing at super slow speed so we can see everything as it happens. So, say we leave Route 1. As you can see, coming out here is the train tracks. That kind of goes under here. So maybe there's something inside this mountain that we have no idea, and it comes out here. And that kind of brings you into the big city up there, but we're not going to get there just yet. I just want to point out that there is a travel system. That's where my fast travel idea has been coming into. Well, to me, obviously, this is set in the industrial times, so I think that's why we got all the gears and stuff in the trailer when it showed off the starters, and there's a lot of steam and stuff. No idea about a new type-in, but I think I've found nearly every single gym already on the map, which I'll point out in a second. So as we leave our hometown, it's kind of, this is a massive open area. There's not much to look at here. There's no houses, there's no landmarks. The only thing I can see is this, that looks like an old castle tower that's kind of fallen apart. Maybe we go there and there's ghost Pokemon, or maybe a rival or villain team, whatever I reckon is going to happen there. It's weird that this is all open and it's just lakes and grass, and this is the only thing in this area. So I feel like that's where we're traveling to when we're going around here. That's going to have some big significance on the journey. So yeah, not much to say about this big open area. My only thoughts are, it's going to be where you find your common Pokemon. You're going from your first town to maybe where you first start finding gyms and stuff. So this will be where you fight your first, like, 20, 30 trainers, I reckon, and you head into this broken tower. Maybe that's where some of the story starts, and you head into the big city. Alright, so here we are at the big city, and there's not much you can see. They've been really smart with this. They've made it look huge, but they've not given away any tiny details like they have with everything else on the map. There's like a little road that leads into the mountain here, so you're going to be able to go into this mountainside. Again, there's a path that leads into the mountainside so we can explore, but there's also a path that a train track leads off to, so maybe that takes us up to this bit up here. But yeah, I don't have much to say about the big city at the moment. I have more to say about the trailer with that, so we're just going to move up a little bit. There is a little house here that's got some significance. Maybe that's a train station, because train tracks do go straight past it. Maybe it's a special landmark that we've got to go and visit. Now, this is where things get very interesting on this map. This is where there is a lot of detail and a lot of things to cover. Alright, first off, we're going to start right in the centre. This massive place, so obviously we know this is set in the UK. I think this is supposed to represent the London Towers and Buckingham Palace kind of as one, because you've got the crown on the top and it's a massive guarded place. There's plenty of places to go and it all looks old-timey and stony and stuff. So I reckon this is supposed to be Buckingham Palace. Wait, there is another one. There's one there as well. The little battle stadiums that I mentioned earlier on. There's one here as well. So that's 3 up to now that I found. Let me know if you guys can see it anymore. But yeah, if we focus on here, as you can see, right at the front is a giant dragon head. Now, with this being set in the UK, there's 3 things that I think are gonna resemble legendary Pokemon. So dragons is obviously number 1. because you got the Welsh dragon and stuff. I think a lion, because obviously that's on the English flag. And you've also got a direwolf. I think there's going to be a legendary direwolf only because of the sword and shield logos. There's a wolf head at the top of both of them. So I think that's going to have some significance. 100%, I reckon there's a dragon gym here, a giant dragon head, and this is the dragon gym. So on top here, I was looking at it for a while. Now, there's two things this little golden statue can be here. Now, it's either a smaller version to represent this dragon legendary that I think is a legendary, but there's these white lines coming off it, and this one doesn't have, like, the fur or, like, I want to call it a mustache, kind of like, I forgot. Oh my god, what's the Gen 7 Dragon Pokemon called now? I'll put a picture up. You know who I mean. It's either a dragon or, bear with me, I think it could. I don't know why it'd be such an important thing, but I think it's a dragon evolution. Because it looks like it stood on 4 legs. It kind of looks like it's got pointy ears, and the things next to it are wings. Now I'm looking at it, it kind of looks like Spyro as well. So it could be anything. It's either a mini dragon legendary, it's a miniature figure or statue to represent the dragon legendary that's on here, or it's an Eevee type dragon evolution. That's what I think it is. As you can see, we've got the giant crown on the top. There's a lot of royalty representation in this game. Go back and watch the trailer. On all the little flags on the buildings, you can see like crowns and castles and stuff. So we're probably going to meet like a prince character at some point in this game. Now, if we head off down to the right here, you can see there's a little seaside / pier. Now, I noticed in some of the trailer there was a bit of a battle sequence. In the background, you could see like beach chairs and beach umbrellas. So obviously we're going to a seaside, which is next to the pier. There's a lighthouse we can explore, like it was back in Gen 2, which is cool. There's a ferry here, so I don't know. Maybe it's going to link to SSM, maybe it's going to be its own thing. That kind of leans towards travel to other regions, but I don't want to get that far ahead. I don't think we're going to travel to another region in this game, although there is a ferry here that could easily take us. There's a train track here that could easily take us, so I don't know. There could be other regions, but I'm just pointing out different forms of transport we could be taking in this game, because I don't know if Pokéride will make a return. Maybe they want to get rid of that altogether and they want us to explore the region by using the region, which is why there's a ferry and train tracks and stuff. Obviously, right at the top, there's a water gym. So just in this shot alone, right, I'm going to skip forward a little bit here and then I'll come back and explain about each town. But water gym, ice gym, dragon gym, ground gym, poison gym. Did I ever say grass? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gyms that I believe I've found. Obviously, these are just theories and I'm just going off my own opinions. I could be totally wrong. I also think there's a steel gym in the big city. So I think I found 7 gyms there. Was that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So I think I found 7 gyms out of 8. So I think that's pretty good. I have no idea if they're adding a new type into this game, if that's going to be what the 8th gym is. We'll just have to see what they're doing. But it's fun to speculate and work out, because you can obviously tell these are gyms. And they kind of, the design kind of reminds me of football stadiums, which is what the character walks into at the end. And every reaction video I've been seeing, everyone's like, oh my god, he's walking into a football stadium. And I think that's the reason they've made them like this. They do look like little mini football stadiums. So if we head away from the water city and come over to what I'm going to say is like the grass / I want to say mythological city. I'll get to that in a second. Obviously you've got your grass gym here. As soon as I saw this, it triggered my mind to go back to X and Y, to Geosenge, I want to say. Is that its name? Geosenge's town? Because that was just because it was a circular town. It was the only thing that I could relate back to an older Pokemon game. But the thing is, Geosenge is in X and Y, and this is in Sword and Shield. And the UK and France, which both these regions were set in, do have twin cities and twin towns, and they're both named similar, and they both recognize each other as twin towns. So I don't know if that's like a throwback or a way they're doing that, but it does look like Geosenge, because obviously you got the thing in the center. Obviously it's a gym here, but back in Geosenge it was the rocks that turned into the ultimate weapon, and you've got like Stonehenge things around here, pillars and stuff. There was a lot of rocks back in Geosenge. And then you've obviously got this carving here on the grass that I think is obviously a legendary Pokemon, either creating a story of it creating the region, story of it creating just this town. or maybe it was a battle that it was having. It's weird that you can't see the little Pokemon that are around it, because obviously there's either things falling around it or things worshipping it. So I think this is a legendary Pokemon for sure. I think we're going to get a bunch of legendary Pokemon in this game, kind of like we did with Gen 6. Just before we move away from the big city, I want to know what these things are. Now, as you go further up in the region, it does look like it should make sense that the Elite Four is obviously at the top. Because that's normally where it is. It's like at the top of the region, or it's like at the side at the top of the region, because that's obviously where you're heading to. But this looks too big and important to not be the Elite Four of the Pokemon League. Like, look, there's like patterns on the front here. You got a giant dragon head statue. There's ways to come in both ways. And I think, I don't know, will they carry on doing an Elite Four? Because they did say they want to try new things. Now, if they try new things, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's kind of these little towers. I don't know if these are just connectors, but as you can see, these are clearly like towers that you fight in the sky. They remind me of Mount Battle from Pokemon Colosseum. As you start getting further into the air, you're just on these flying stadiums. So maybe it's a throwback to that, but they're just more specialized towards this region. So maybe I'm going to go off my own opinion and say we're going to fight 7 people as the Elite Four. And they're going to give it a brand new name because there's a symbol in all the trailers that doesn't add up because we've never seen the symbol before. And it's the red and blue, kind of like a Pokeball, but I don't think it's meant to represent a Pokeball. I think it's meant to represent what the Pokemon League is here and how it's different. So I think there's going to be an Elite Six, and then the champion is going to be in the crown. Because obviously, when you become a champion, you wear a crown. So I think we're going to fight all 6 of these, and they're all going to be different types. And then obviously, we go up to the crown, and we fight our rival champion, whoever it may be. And I think that's a pretty cool idea. I really hope they are doing that. So if we head to the right here of what I think, I'm going to call it the Pokemon League just for now, because just easier to say that. So up from the right of the Pokemon League is a little den. Now, this could be the underground that we saw in the trailer, with all the gems in the walls, which kind of look like evolution stones, so fire, leaf, water. I think it might be that, but what it also could be is a legendary den. Zygarde, Giratina, they were in places like this, so maybe there's something hidden here that we're going to go fight. Maybe it's going to be secured off for a while. It is right next to the Pokemon League, so it would make sense if only strong trainers can enter there, and there is a legendary Pokemon there. There's a maze. It's kind of like the maze where Tapu Koko was as well. So it would make sense if that's where we go for a legendary Pokemon. Again, if it is a legendary Pokemon, obviously you're going further into up the UK. And what's further up in the UK? Scotland. And what's a mythological creature they're probably going to make a Pokemon of? The Loch Ness Monster. So it's either going to be there, but it wouldn't make sense that it's not near water, but there's a lot of water in this region, so the Loch Ness Monster for sure is definitely going to be a Pokemon. I'll be surprised if it's not. Okay, so if we head to the left here of the Pokemon League, you can see there's a Dugtrio. There is a clearly Dugtrio structure here that somebody's carved out or created. So that obviously represents the ground type, and that leads us to the ground gym, which is here. It's like it's built on ground above water, which is pretty cool. So we'll go there for another badge. I want to know what this is. The only thing I can think of that reminds me of is, and it's the silliest thing because obviously it's the most colourful thing you see. If we go back to Alola, I'll put an image of her. I've totally forgotten her name. Oh my god. But we saw her in, she appeared in Let's Go as well as you got off the SSN. So I think, I don't know, it's just, she's the only thing that reminds me of this. And she had the same colours because she was like the hippie style and stuff. Or it's like a mural where we go to learn the lore about a legendary Pokemon. Kind of like we did with Gen 4, where you go into the small cave and you see the battle between Dialga and Palkia. And the guy comes up and explains about Mesprit, Azoth, and Uexie and stuff. As we go further up here to the left, this is 100% a poison gym. Okay, it's in the middle of a forest, there's giant mushrooms, and the gym is purple. So I think this is a poison gym, which is pretty cool. The only poison gym I'm remembering in my head right now is obviously Koga, so it's going to be cool to go back to a poison gym. We still need a poison like legendary as well. So as we come over to the right side here, you can see it's all icy and cold. So my first thought was, this is an ice gym. It's got to be an ice gym. But if you go look at the other gyms, you can see that the water gym is blue, grass gym green. So you would expect the ice gym to be like a darker or lighter blue. but it's totally black, so I'm not too sure if this represents a new typing or steel, or if it is just ice and they didn't want to do another blue because obviously they've got the water gym. I'm going to say, like, I'm 60% certain that it's an ice gym, but it could be something else. Okay, and as we get to the top here, obviously this top bit of the region is meant to represent London. So what I can see here, if I can go a little bit more forward without it phasing into the next bit of the trailer, obviously Big Ben, 100%. You got the London Eye here, which we're going to be able to go and visit. There's this little building here. Now, at first I thought, well, it's not a gym because obviously it's not got the same design. If you look inside, you can kind of see some green, so I thought, there's two things that this could represent that I've been looking up. So it's either a football stadium, and somehow they've got like a mini game, or it's just a football stadium made into a Pokemon stadium, because obviously football's a big thing over here. Or it's another famous London landmark. The only thing I could find that's got a similar shape is the Albert Hall. So yeah, I'm not too sure what it could be. It's got some importance because it has the friggin' symbol on the front that I think represents the Pokemon League in this game. So who knows? That's going to be an important building that we go to at some point. And then in the middle is the giant tower, which kind of looks like the Shard in London. I looked this up and it kind of looks like the Shard with just a dome added onto the top. It's basically the same shape and it looks similar. It's made out of glass. So yeah, they've just took some of the biggest landmarks of London and put them into Pokemon. And yeah, there's not much else to say here. There's no gyms here. It kind of looks like this is just a place for us to go and explore. And that tower has to represent something. The only other game I can think of right now that has a tower that's a similar shape is Pokemon Colosseum. When the big Colosseum finally gets built out in the desert and you go and battle all the bad guys there. So yeah, that's the only other thing I can think of. I know there's plenty of other towers in Pokemon, but as like a stadium or a Colosseum, that's what it reminds me of. So yeah, those are my ideas and thoughts and in-depth analysis of the map. I don't know how much you guys agreed with me, but I hope you've enjoyed listening to this video. Let me know your thoughts and ideas and theories in the comment section below, and let's get some discussions going. Let's talk about it and what we think is going to happen with this region. It's a very cool region. There's a lot of stuff going on. I love that it's cut up into sections because it means there's going to be so much for us to explore. And yeah, I am so excited for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Down below, let me know your thoughts and theories, and let me know your favourite section of the map. Is it the icy part? Is it the ground? Is it what I think is the Pokemon League? Is it where London is meant to represent? Let me know down below. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. Think about subscribing if you are brand new to this channel. My name is Joey, and I will see you in the next one.